Hello. MQSCX is a utility that will make issuing MQSC commands to your queue manager much easier. This demo is going to illustrate the powerful filtering features of this utility. If you watched the first video in this series on MQSCX, you'll have seen an example of filtering the results from the command server by using wildcards anywhere in the name. This is a key extension to the command server facilities, which makes it very easy to find specific sets of objects. Naming conventions used in MQ installations are often designed so that one part of the name indicates a particular application. If that part of the name is not at the start of the name, the command server can't use it as a wildcard. MQSCX allows that. MQSCX has two types of wildcards. The asterisk, which matches multiple characters, including 0 characters as illustrated by the last command, and the question mark, which matches exactly 1 character. Let's now look at some more ways to filter the responses. We start with a simple search. With a lot of output from a command, you can ask MQSCX to show you some specific text in the output, instead of paging up and down looking for the text. In this example, I just want to find an application called AMQSPut in the myriad of output from display con. I can use a simple slash notation to search the output for the string I'm looking for. This is a search forward through all the output. You can repeat the find using Ctrl and F. If you want to only search the output of your most recent command, you can add S to the instruction. If you want to search backwards, use a dash, and use a C if you want a case-sensitive search. Searching the output is all very well, but there's still a lot of spurious data on the screen to make reading the output difficult. Rather than searching the output, you might instead want to filter down the output to only those records that contain the string you're looking for. MQSCX provides this with a simple find keyword that can be easier than trying to construct a where clause, the where clause being notoriously difficult when looking for partial strings especially. It will look for the search string anywhere in the resultant output. Let's try looking for AMQSPut in our display con output again by adding the search string to reduce the display to only show what I'm looking for. Note that I have to ensure that the fields containing the search string are returned from the command server in the response. This command would not work without the all. We see an error here, coloured in red to make it more obvious, which tells us that none of the responses from the command server contain the string AMQSPut. If we now remove the equals find off the command, we can see why. Now we see why the all was needed on the command, because by default, display con doesn't return very much data at all. MQSCX extends the functionality provided by MQSC. One example of this is the where clause. To use the standard MQSC where clause, just type it in as part of your command. This is fine as far as it goes, but there are quite a number of restrictions which have been lifted by using the MQSCX extended equals where clause. It's an equals command to ensure we can tell whether we're using the command server's version of the where clause or the MQSCX filtering. Here's an example of using the primary object name in an equals where clause, something which is not allowed on the MQSC where clause. A standard MQSC where clause is only a single operation. With the MQSCX equals where clause, you can have multiple operations linked together with ands and ors. How about referring to more than one attribute to compare them? The extended equals where clause will let you do that too. Okay, perhaps that's not very useful, but what is more useful is to be able to do mathematical expressions using 2 attributes. Here we list the queues which are at least 80% full. When using any kind of filtering, or generally just listing out large numbers of objects, it can be helpful to quickly see how many were shown. This setting in MQSCX will display that for you, and also if there has been some equals find or equals where filtering applied that has further reduced the amount shown to the screen, it will show a separate total for that too. With the MQSCX utility, you have the power of both the MQSC where clause and the extended equals where clause in your toolbox. Use whichever one works for your purposes, and of course you can also use both together. For example, you can do the course level filtering at the command server, reducing the number of responses you get back, and then apply some finer grained filtering at MQSCX itself before the results are presented to the user. Let's repeat one of our previous commands to see what the display total setting shows us. You can see here that the command server returns 63 responses to the program, and then MQSCX applied further filtering, in this case with the equals where clause, to reduce what is displayed on the screen to 7 responses. You can use where clauses, both the MQSC and the extended MQSCX equals where, to check for attributes that are non-blank. In MQSC, you'd say where MCA user not equal to blank. Whereas in MQSCX, in an equals where clause, you can use a shorthand. This simply finds any channels where the MCA user field is set to something. Extending this method further, you might want to check for several fields. For example, find all the channels where either SSL SIFE or SECI exit are set. Perhaps more interesting might be those channels which do not have one of these two fields filled in, that is, those channels which are not secured properly. We can easily negate the expression. This use of an attribute on its own to imply a true statement also works for numerical fields. For example, instead of saying where cur depth greater than 0, you can instead simply say where cur depth. If you prefer to use mathematical operators rather than the word-based operators, you can do so when using MQSCX extended equals where clause. Here are some of the earlier examples, rewritten with mathematical operators instead. The meaning is unchanged, just use what you are more comfortable with. This is also true for the logical operators. These filters can be combined with the ability to issue additional commands using the MQSCX control language. This example shows a display con command being issued for each queue status that shows uncommitted messages on a queue. Look out for a future video about the control language showing more complex scripts and allowing you to build up your own output displays of MQ information. This concludes our video on MQSCX filtering. You can see how MQSCX extends the capabilities of the IBM MQ command server, allowing much more powerful filtering. In future videos, we shall introduce some of the other features of the product. If you have any questions or comments about this video, or the product, or would like to be sent a trial license so you can try it out for yourself, then please send an email to support@mqgem.com. Thank you for watching.